Hello, everybody. This is my first time as chair as well, so prepare for some hiccups, but I've got Nate next to me, and Pat and Katie as well. So I believe we're just going to start with the call to order and introductions. Well, this is the Bloomington Metropolitan Planning Office Technical Advisory Committee. Hello, Hunter. So yeah, call to order and introductions. I'll start to my left, just after Neil.
Neil Copper, proxy for the Bloomington City Engineer.
David Hiddle, Bloomington Director of Planning and Transportation.
Nate Nichols, City of Bloomington Public Works Department.
John Baton, GIS Coordinator, Monroe County.
Jackie Jellin, Director, Monroe County Planning.
Jane Fleeg, City of Bloomington Utilities.
Land City Deputy Controller, proxy for Jeff McKim, Controller.
Proxy for the Monroe County Auditor.
Megan Blair, City of Bloomington GIS Manager.
Linnea Wellings, NDOT, proxy for Rebecca Packer.
Lynette Tavernier, Monroe County Operations and Asset Manager for the Highway Department.
Ben Ayers, Project Manager, Monroe County Highway Department.
John Connell, Bloomington Transit.
Lisa Salyers, Area 10 Rural Transit, proxy for Chris Myers.
And I'm not sure, I didn't see anybody online. Is there anybody online?
No members online.
No members online? Okay. Well, thanks, everybody. I guess next on the agenda is the approval of the meeting agenda. Do I have a motion for an approval?
Move approval.
Second.
Thanks, Neil, and thanks, Jane.
You may do all in favor if you would like.
Yes. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed?
All opposed, say nay. Seems like we have it. Next up is the approval of minutes from January 28th, 2026. Do I have a motion to approve?
Move approval of the minutes.
Thanks, Neil.
I'll second.
Thanks, Nate. What was the thing I could say again? Was it all approve? Or?
All in favor?
Oh, yes. Can I get an all in favor? Everybody say aye.
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 One thing, before we go for that, these are public comment items, so if there is any
Oh, yeah.
comment, you might want to see if there.
Thanks, Nate. If there's any public comment, this is your opportunity of the meeting minutes. I'm not seeing any here. Anybody virtually, just please raise your hand on Zoom. I'm not really seeing, I guess I can see Zoom there as well. So it does say that there's a couple chats in the Zoom.
The Zoom chats are okay.
It's okay?
I've
All right.
checked them.
So I guess we'll do that again. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Looks like we have it. And I'll apologize again for me flubbing around, but we'll get better as we move on. So next up is communications from the chair and vice chair. Jane, any communications?
Nothing from me. Thank you.
Cool. I don't have anything personally. I do know that Lynette will have some stuff, and Ben as we get to the highway progress as well. I guess the one thing I do have is we all suffered a storm this past week on Thursday. In Monroe County GIS, we have updated our extreme storm weather events app. And so that has the path of the tornado that came across Monroe County, as well as pictures of different damage points. And those are available on our website. The data we pull from the National Weather Service, and so it is pretty cool. It's dynamic and it changes as the data changes. The one interesting thing is that was the earliest tornado we've experienced in Monroe County, dating back to the NWS data I'm pulling at least. So typically we were seeing tornadoes in March, but this was a kind of an early mid-February one. So climate change is affecting us and things of that nature. So I guess reports from MPO staff is next.
Okay. The first item is just a resource to share that I learned about recently. Oops. Just gotta, I had it up here. Hold on a second. Give me a minute. Okay. This is just a map that INDOT has made of they call it their Innovative Intersection and Interchange Map. And this is what it looks like on the website, and they also show some of the treatments that are mentioned in the map. And that is just a resource I wanted to share with you all. We'll not go into detail, but I've provided the link in the agenda. The second item is that INDOT is currently revamping their planning public involvement plan, which they last touched in 2023. So they are taking comments. Feedback is accepted by them on the plan by Friday, March 13th. And this is what their page looks like. There is a link to their draft plan, and then you can submit comments about it. So if anyone cares to look into that, I encourage you to do so. And I'll stop after each item just in case there's any questions that anyone has. Item C on page 10 of the packet. So we have not yet reached the end of the federal fiscal year. That doesn't happen until June 30th, but every federal fiscal year, the MPO receives federal funds, and that those must be used by the end of the year by transportation projects, and anything that's left over will get traded for other years or flexed to Bloomington or Rural Transit. And so we wanted to go ahead and give you guys a summary of this federal fiscal year, even though we still have a few months left. We have reached zero. So all of our federal fund allocations have been spent for this year. Sorry, Transit, you don't get any this year. So this chart in the packet simply shows kind of where we started here. The first line are the numbers that we had from INDOT when you guys approved the TIP last March. So that was a total of $4.64 million coming to our urbanized area. Then they updated the numbers in May of last year after you guys approved the TIP. The amount was updated to 4.5. That was kind of balancing out amounts from the year before. And then we did a trade last spring with another MPO, which added another $1 million to our total for this year. And so when you guys initially approved the TIP last year, $4.6 million was programmed. And then that amount increased to 5.6 later. And so this kind of shows the projects that were awarded in the TIP to receive funding as of last March, and then what the actual spending turned out to be this year. So that extra $1 million from the exchange that was added in spring of last year, that ended up going towards West 2nd Street. And then every project except one received the funds that were originally allocated to them. So except two, I should say. High Street was originally programmed to receive funds, but was not able to use them, so those funds were transferred elsewhere. West 2nd Street was programmed originally to receive funds, and they have submitted their funding letters to NDOT and have to the total of $5 million. So those have been used this year. And then Old SR 37 South and Dillman Road were also planned to receive funds, and they submitted their funding letter in November to NDOT. The only project that was not able to receive funds as planned was downtown curb ramps Phase 5. And that was essentially at the error of MPO staff, because when we received updated numbers from NDOT last June, we didn't update the allocations in the TIP to reflect that because it was a lower amount. And so that's why, since downtown curb ramps is the last one to request their funds from NDOT, because we're now at zero balance, 100% obligated for this year, there's none left for the downtown curb ramps project. So that is noted in the footnotes below, and we've talked to the city about that.
Can I comment on that once are you done with that
Yeah, I'm
piece of
done.
it? First want to say thank you, Katie, for all the communication on this and for meeting with me and helping me understand. And I know there's some additional complications in there from the way that NDOT has been moving funding around, and understand that. It was it's a pretty unfortunate surprise to learn that your project isn't getting the money that was allocated to it. And it's unfortunate to learn that the reason you're not getting the money is simply because you came after another project within the fiscal year. So I just want to emphasize that I hope in future years we can have those conversations in advance and avoid this situation.
Yep.
Just to break that down a little bit, was it because you said that the South Old State Road 37 Dillman intersection, basically with the change in the funding allocated, that project ate up all the funds that then the downtown project couldn't proceed? Okay, and then we didn't talk about it to reallocate? Okay. That's helpful. Would that be a matter for this advisory committee, or is there like a side committee to talk about some of the like reallocations and like, so I feel like sometimes we get projects or like reports back that's like, basically this won't finish on time, and then we're in a time crunch.
Mm-hmm.
Is there like another committee or discussion that we could have between the different partners to say, hey, here's our progress update, we're forecasting we might not meet this deadline, and then like do some switching in that regard? Would that be helpful?
We have quarterly meetings every quarter to check on the status of each project and whether or not it will be able to use the funding for that year. And when we realize that that it can't, then we take steps and to fix that, whether it's doing a trade or reallocating funding. We typically talk to Lisa and Neil about those, changing the funds around between projects, and then those always get brought to the committees in the form of proposed amendments, and that's how you guys see them.
So if an outcome of that quarterly meeting is that there's not an agreement, then we would never see anything because it wouldn't be an amendment.
Say that again?
Like if the conversation was between the city and the county, but for the Old State Road 37 South and Dillman Road and the downtown curb ramps, if there was not agreement in those quarterly meetings to allocate money from the Dillman and 37 project to the curb ramps, we would never be notified of that here, because there wouldn't be an amendment to the TIP, basically.
I think that's accurate. If I can jump in, I think I think what you're describing does and should happen, but the bigger issue here was during those quarterly meetings, we all thought the same amount of money was still there. We thought this money existed, and so we were just proceeding as usual, and then it turned out the money wasn't actually programmed to the MPO as a whole anymore. And so then the Dillman project, used its money as it was expecting to, and then the city project came forward and the money was already gone. And so the surprise was just that the funding allocation was reduced to the MPO, and we as a body never addressed that.
Yeah, so I think just communication is key moving forward. And thanks for the comments, Neil and Jackie and Katie, for going over that.
Okay, item D, in pages 11 through 21 of the packet, there is some historical documentation for kind of regarding the establishment, or what we would say actually is designation of the MPO. And so the first item is actually an MOU, and then the rest of them are the formal letters sent to the governor and to Federal Highway, which essentially established the creation of the MPO. And this is kind of mostly just FYI for you guys, but this is provided because of some discussion that took place at the policy committee meeting last month. Some folks were wanting some information about kind of the origin of the MPO and how it came to be situated in the City of Bloomington Planning Department. And so you're welcome to read through that. I mean, roughly, the city is because their population was approaching that federal population level that would then enable them to become an MPO and get federal funds. The city initiated transportation studies a few years prior to the MPO establishing. And there's a variety of other reasons why the MPO is situated where it is. But this original MOU also clearly, creates the grounds for an intergovernmental, multi-jurisdictional represented policy committee, technical advisory committee, and citizens advisory committee. So nothing has really changed with regard to representation of folks from different jurisdictions since the creation of the MPO. But feel free to let us know if you have any questions or comments about that.
Yeah, I thought these were just really interesting to look through and see, the heavy hitters in the past that were part of this, and just kind of the creation. So yeah, thanks for including this in the packet.
One thing I might note too is we would welcome any documents the county may have. I mean, this is the extent of what we have, and we're lucky to have it for that matter. So anything the county has in its archives, either the County Plan Commission or the Commissioner's Office, anywhere, anything, please?
That survived the paper to electronic transition.
Yeah.
I will just say from my standpoint, I did see this maybe a few days ago, and I did go looking, and we talked to our legal department. To our knowledge, this is the only document that was created. I don't think that subsequent intercooperatives, as it's called, were made. We do have interlocals, but those were subject for planning and zoning jurisdiction only. They were very narrow in scope. They weren't associated to the MPO. So our legal department and myself, we tried to rack our brains and look at different places, but I don't think that there was anything beyond this.
And
I'll keep looking.
okay, and we also went back to 2008 work program, looked through it too. Nothing had changed at that time from 2008 up until now. So, okay.
Okay, item E, some project updates regarding TIP projects or projects receiving federal funds through the MPO. There's nothing really too much to add except for one project, the project 2200-619, that is some of these bridge deck overlay projects on I-69. One of them is up there on the map. The project manager reached out to us and shared that construction is possible during the fall of 2026 or spring of 27. It's also anticipated that the construction at these locations will occur separately. So there's 7, I think there's 7 locations where they're doing bridge deck overlay on I-69. 5 of the locations will have shoulder and lane closures, but those will be less than 7 days. And 2 of the locations, West Arlington and Kinzer Pike, will use temporary traffic signals. The roads will remain open, but there may be some wait because of the temporary traffic signals. Other than that, that's all the updates I have. If Neil or the county have any updates they want to share, feel free to.
I'll do a couple quick, just basic project updates. So first, the downtown curb ramps Phase 5 project that we were mentioning earlier, it is still moving forward, starting design. We're negotiating a design contract right now with an engineering firm. And then I wanted to give a brief update on our High Street project. So we are wrapping up right-of-way acquisition on that. We are looking to do some tree clearing before the environmental bat window closes on April 1st of this year. And then that needs to happen in advance of utility relocations, which would occur generally throughout 2026, and then looking at project construction during 2027. I think our letting date for the project is actually in, I want to say October of this year, September, October, somewhere in there. But getting ahead of it so that we can get the utilities out of the way so that the project can successfully go to construction. And be happy to update on any other projects if anyone has questions.
Can I ask a question about the High Street one, just because it's a road I travel? Is that street going to be detoured off then during that process?
So during construction itself, we'll probably break into phases, segments of the road, and it will most likely become a one-way street during those phases. So there'll still be access to everywhere along it, but not from both directions. And then in 2026, during like utility relocations, you'll probably see similar but shorter duration, maybe flagging or maybe short one-ways.
Cool, thanks, Neil. Lynette?
I have a number of project updates, and hopefully just to establish a baseline of what you know and what we know, since Paul Satterley retired between last meeting and this meeting. So bear with me as I go through this list. The Curry Pike Phase 1 project between State Road 45 and State Road 48. Letting was in February and was awarded to DC Construction. We're working with Indiana Railroad for right of entry along the tracks and have a pre-construction meeting set for March 11th. The Eagleson Bridge, letting was in January and was awarded to Beatty Construction. We're working with INDOT to set up a pre-construction meeting later in March or April. The inspector for the project is Rob Burkhart with BFS, and construction is scheduled to start after move-in and open before move-in in 2027. Rockport Road Bridge 308, letting was in February and was awarded to CLR contractors. The inspector will be Chris Stoner with EGS BLN. We'll be working with them to set up a pre-construction meeting for this project in March and April also. Fairfax Road Safety Project, the high-friction pavement installation at various locations between mostly Schacht Road and Cleve Butcher Road. The pavement cores were completed around January 30th. Stage 3 plans will be completed after these core reports are completed, and we should expect to see those reports in June. That road bridge, number 79 replacement, we're working on last parcel negotiations. Letting is not until fiscal year 2029. The design is 100% completed. Old State Road 37 South and Dillman Road intersection, early coordination letters for the phase of the Section 106 review process went out February 20th, 2026. Roar Road Bridge 75 replacement, expect construction to begin in the spring. The contractor is CLR, and this is a locally funded project. The closure and detour will be established at that pre-construction meeting. The Vernal Pike connector on Profile Parkway between Loesch Road to Curry Pike. There's a meeting scheduled this Friday with Simtra to bring up what was supposed to be completed by the Cook Group as part of the approval of the old GE site. Not sure who the design consultant will be at this time. And then just one announcement, we will be having an on-site engineer starting in March until we find a full-time replacement for Paul. The engineer is Brent Wenholt with BFS. He was a county engineer for 12 years in Dubois County, so he has a lot of knowledge on federal aid projects, local rural projects, plan reviews. He'll be in our office 1 day a week and attend meetings as needed. If you have any questions or would like updates on other projects, happy to answer those.
Thanks, Lynette. And just to clarify, not all the projects you mentioned are receiving federal funds, but I'll talk to her about that later. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thanks Lynette and Neil. So are we moving on now to old business? Okay, moving on to old business.
Okay, the first item we have under old business is the Unified Planning Work Program. This is for fiscal year 2027, 2028. The copy that we have included in the packet is what we call the final draft as of February 20th, 2026. We received, adjustments were made to the document itself after review comments from the Federal Highway Administration, Federal Transit Administration, and the Indiana Department of Transportation. Federal Highway comments, and I can send these to you afterwards. I apologize for not having these in the packet. They're actually fairly simple. The comments include remove all references to the Bipartisan Infrastructure Act and rename those the IIJA. It's no longer the bill, the BIL, it's the IIJA. So all of that has been replaced. All rescinded executive orders were removed from the document. Any references to planning emphasis areas under prior national administration were removed. Also, under active transportation, page 40 of the document says remove any reference to the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, replace that with the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, which was done. Page 41, excuse me, on active transportation, remove again the reference to the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law, replace that with the Infrastructure and Investment and Jobs Act. Federal Transit Administration comments were, please remove the FTA Region 5 from the reference planning emphasis areas, which we did. Replace the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law with the Infrastructure and Investments Jobs Act. Remove references to rescinded executive orders, which were done. And that's in, and then under discretionary programs, Federal Transit Administration for planning, please note that they may be awarded as a requirement that selected planning projects must be included in the work program upon award and prior to being eligible for pre-award authority, such as areas of poverty, transit-oriented development, planning projects, etc. The Indiana Department of Transportation's comments are recommend in addition to indirect endorsement letter, this is the indirect cost endorsement letter, which is in the appendices. Please list that in the dialogue box in the introduction. It lists the approval of the indirect rate that will be used for the work program that we did. The estimated unexpended work program balance on page 13. Please also include purchase orders under that table. We added the purchase order numbers, and then we're showing the carryover balance at the end of this current fiscal year as being 0. The individual planning element budget table that follows each planning element should be structured in a way and manner showing federal matching funds and estimated carryover funds. We redid that table to show that there are no carryover funds, period. Summary budget and planning sources, highly recommended that the MPO restructure the summary budget table, which we did, and that's included in the document. Furthermore, fiscal year 27 MPO consolidated planning grant mark is $298,149. We've adjusted that according to that number. On page 25, the fifth bullet, please reword the word equity considerations. We took out the word equity and I can't remember the word that we put in instead. Page 26, element 300, please include activities beginning for the next tip update, which will be 2029, fiscal year 2029 and 2033. We did. Element 306, performance measures. The eighth bullet suggested rewording the word sustainability, so we reworded the word sustainability. Page 40, 501, element 501 on active transportation. Fifth paragraph, please remove the word equity from ADA equity considerations. Now that's in the law, but we did it anyway. Third bullet on page 40, please remove equity from ADA equity, which we did, and again, that was in the law. Page 541, active transportation. No, that's a duplication. That's a duplication there. Okay, and then on page 47, under the Title VI and ADA compliance plans, identify the LPAs where the MPO will monitor the Title VI status going forward and move toward limited funding to those entities not meeting the requirements as federal aid recipients. We therefore reworded it to identify that we would not only review or monitor the city of Bloomington, but also Monroe County and also the town of Ellisville. That's it.
Cool. Thanks for that overview, Pat, and I hope you guys got a lot of use out of a thesaurus during this process of changing the words equity and sustainability.
Yeah.
Those are bad words. Do we have to have a motion to approve this?
Yes, there's a requested action to recommend approval by the TAC and the policy committee.
So I guess, do we have a motion to approve?
I just have maybe two questions really quick, and I think you addressed them last time, Pat, but I just want to make sure I'm on the right track. The overall budget reduced due to the 2020 census, and you went over that last time, but just for my own reminder.
Sure.
Did you equally kind of reduce each itemized line item by that percent, or was it more of a cooperative discussion between, because I know, like, I remember you saying asset management went down to 0 or something like that. Was there like a framework for which you decided on those reductions, basically?
Yeah, the current budget that we operate under is $325,000 or so in federal funds. This new one will be $298,000. It's been a steady cut for 3 consecutive years, and that is a result of the 2020 census. The funding we receive for planning is based on a per capita allocation, and since Bloomington went down in the 2020 census, our students went home, they weren't counted. vis-a-vis other communities. Lafayette went down too, but vis-a-vis the other group 2 smaller communities, everybody went down. In terms of the budget, what I had shown in the draft was I had shown a deficit, and they did not want us to show a deficit. So we took the deficit out, rebalanced hours, and what we did was reduced my hours, reduced Katie's hours, and put those in what I would call the rank order of what we do. And the rank order of what we do is element 100, meetings, meetings, minutes, discussions with outside groups and all of that. What is it? I'm sorry, let me go to that real quick. Yeah, the administration and public participation, that's our biggest expenditure in terms of hours historically. We balanced everything based on what our time had been spent in previous years. After that, we go to the Transportation Improvement Program. That's the second largest user of our hour time. After that, we went to Task 500, which is the active transportation. There's a requirement there that we spend a minimum of 2.5% of our federal funding in active transportation. And then the city of Bloomington also received a $1.44 million grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation. We will assist in that in a modest way. I'm not saying that we'll spend a lot of our time on that, but because they have the forces to do that, but we will assist in a modest way in that task. And then going from there, the crash report and traffic counts, what I'd call the traffic count data and the crash report data. The crash reports consume a considerable amount of time right now because we, how do I say it, clean up the data. We receive the data in a raw format from the database, the ARIES database. We clean that up. Usually that's cleaned up somewhere around April, May, June. And then we post it on the crash dashboard. And the crash dashboard was brand new as of this year, too, for that, this fiscal year, I should say. Then after that, the task 600, which is the Title VI, that's the one where we're spending the least. We took money out of that one. That one has in it, I think, only 9 hours of time, 9 hours of billable time in the whole task. And then going to your other question about contract service agreements, we zeroed out all the contract service agreements. Previously, we had 2 of those, $13,000 for the City of Bloomington Asset Management, $13,000 from Monroe County Asset Management. Given the cut, we had to reduce those also. And then previously, in prior years, we had also shared resources with Bloomington Transit. There's no sharing of resources with Bloomington Transit either this year or the next year. Does that answer all of your questions?
That does, so I could compare like last month's work program draft to this program work draft, okay. And then just the discussion we just had about the, internal quarterly meetings between staff, just to kind of, we don't have to put everything in this work program that we do coordination-wise, like
we do
have some flexibility. Oh, you do have to put everything? Okay, so is that in there? I didn't.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We conduct a minimum of 4 quarterly meetings. That's a requirement also.
Okay.
Preparation of that takes an extensive amount of time too, because the county and the city all are required to submit their quarterly reports. Quarterly reports come to us first. We go through the quarterly reports, review those, look for changes, look for key issues that may be evolving, and then we approve those. Those go to the Department of Transportation. The Department of Transportation approves them, and then we meet usually a few weeks after that to discuss it. One project that came up recently was Old State Road 37 and Dillman Road. That project had originally been scheduled, I think, for an October letting or something like that in 2027. And then it was moved to March of 2027, and it's still only in the early coordination phase. We expressed concern to the county highway director over the issue of a March letting is risky. Yeah, I'll say that. And so as a result of that, we're working behind the scenes to move that one to fiscal year '28. And to meet that obligation, we're in the process of looking at trades or loans. I shouldn't say trades. Trades, yeah, loans, I shouldn't say loans. Trades with other MPOs, so that way we can balance it out and we can have that project go to a contract letting at the proper time.
Okay.
So, yeah, there's everything that's in here. It says responsible agency and end product. That's what we do.
Yeah, and I know we were starting the process maybe I don't remember if it was last year or the year before, regarding the complete streets, which probably isn't allowed anymore under this current administration, but there was some discussion I thought was helpful about how do we like score or have a fair rubric between all the different parties. I'd still like to see something like that in the future, just to be completely transparent amongst everyone to say, this is how we evaluated that project. And I also know Katie invited me to a training of, there are other jurisdictions have a lot more staff that they're able to incorporate other components of MPOs like prioritizing housing and transportation, or prioritizing other things with transportation, and that could be something in the rubric or just a discussion amongst us. That would be...
The complete streets policy that we developed and adopted 3-4 years ago, something like that. I think it was 4 years ago now. That was based on best practice at that time. And we adopted it, I would call it holistically. And then after the adoption, we didn't realize that the scoring process was biased against safety projects. It was actually prioritizing capacity expansion or new facilities or things like that instead of safety. So we've talked internally extensively about we want to go through a new scoring process, and that may come out of the cake in April of this year, this calendar year, or May or so. Yeah, complete streets is, not fully supported on the national level. What was the other question?
Just the rubric and how we score things, and if we can include other components.
Yeah,
to MPOs.
it'll be a complete rewrite. Is what we want to do.
And that would come to this committee for review?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
absolutely, yeah,
All right.
yeah. We would
good.
hope to bring that to you in April or May. That depends on our workload, because they're just the two of us, and
Yeah.
we're being bombarded right now, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Understood. Thank you.
all right, sure.
Well, Jackie, to your point, I know it's something that John brought up at prior meetings too, but we never really quite got it off the ground, but I believe we talked about even having a TAC working group for that very reason, just helping. So that might be something we could still include in the mix too, if people
Please.
were interested.
Yeah, the technical advisory committee will be heavily involved in whatever we do. It won't be just us giving you a presentation and then asking for support. It'll be a working process.
Great, thanks for the comments, everybody. Any other comments? I guess this is a motion to approve the old business, the 2027-2028 Unified Planning Work Program.
So move.
Thank you, Jane.
Second?
And I guess I should have said, if there's I forgot the phrasing again, unanimous approval? What was it, Katie? I'm supposed to say?
Do public comment first.
Oh, public comment, yes, sorry. If there's any public comment, time is now. I'm not seeing any.
I do have my hand raised. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I see. We see you now, Eric. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Yeah, I raised my hand during Pat's presentation. My name's Eric Ost, and I want to say thank you for all of your work on this this important matter. During the Mr. Martin's presentation, he mentioned the crash dashboard, and I wasn't sure if that was something that was going to be scaled back or continued, and if it is being continued, I'm wondering if you could, I appreciate the efforts to clean up the data that's downloaded from the Aries system, but I'm wondering if you could publish the complete Aries data set for Monroe County as a separate file that could be accessed by the public as point of information that used to be published by the state as well as in a slightly modified form by the city of Bloomington until 2023, I believe. But it would be very helpful for the analysis of traffic patterns, crashes, in a fairly fine grained manner, if that complete data set could be published on a hopefully on a monthly basis. That would be great. And just that I can send you documentation on what that data set includes, if that would be helpful. So I guess I'm asking to clarify that the crash dashboard will still be maintained by staff despite the funding constraints, and also that the complete data set be published just as a separate file. Thank you.
In regard to the crash dashboard, absolutely. That was the purpose of establishing the crash dashboard in the first place. And then we'll be refining that further as we proceed. In terms of access to the Aries database, there's a legal requirement that we have that we, the staff, don't see the Aries database. That's downloaded through the engineering department. Do you know that? Okay. There's a legal requirement on that and confidentiality. And
I'm sorry to interrupt. Could I ask for that contract to be provided? That restriction has been mentioned before, but Indiana code declares that accident reports are public data and not classified. So I'd like to follow up with someone about that so I can better understand what those restrictions are. If they are a contract with a private provider, then that does not obviate the fact that Indiana code declares it as public record. In my understanding.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, they are through a private contractor, but I'm unfamiliar with exactly what the requirements are. I can research that and we can send you an email on that.
Eric, we discussed this last year, and the answer is the same as it was last year, which is that we are not authorized to publish the NDOT crash data. Only NDOT is authorized to publish it, and then they decide who they give access to the system internally. And then the public is also welcome to purchase the crash data through the NDOT website. All of the answers are still the same about that. With regards to your comment about the data being published in the past, as I mentioned last year, that data publishing was a mistake, and it was not legally permitted. And when it was realized that that was not permitted, that data was taken down off the website.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'd like to follow up with someone possibly in a conversation in regards to this, because I think what you're talking about is a restriction of a contract with a private provider. You referenced NDOT, but prior, without getting into too many details, I think there's some nuance here, and MPOs can access the data. It's possible that the state has moved this process to a private contractor, But that doesn't obviate the fact that Indiana code declares it as public record and not classified.
I would recommend you reach out to NDOT about that by submitting a comment through NDOT for you.
I will, sorry to interrupt, I will do that, but I'd need some more information from perhaps engineering or the city in order to formulate that request. Because it doesn't, and first thing I'd like to see is a copy of the contract that has this non-disclosure language in it. Thank you, that's all I really have at this time.
Thanks for your comment, Eric. I guess, I'm not sure, MPO staff or engineering or city legal could maybe get in touch with Eric to kind of clarify these things in the offline. Well, I guess online, but off meeting.
Yeah, I mean, the two of us don't download the data. That's actually through the engineering department. We can research it and get an answer back to him in terms of an email. Yes.
Awesome. Thanks, Pat.
Yeah.
Any other public comment online? I'm not seeing hands. It's hard to see on Zoom here if there are hands, but I don't see any. It does
Yeah,
not-
so I wasn't able to expand it, but he's all that's there, yeah.
So it does not look like any, so I guess this is the motion for anonymous, or not, total approval? All? What was it? Oh, all in favor? Of moving the old business FY 2027-2028 Unified Planning Work Program, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay.
Abstain.
Seems like we have it.
Thank you. Page 91 to 92 is a proposed amendment. NDOT and Federal Transit Administration requires that transit proposed budgets be placed in the local TIP and voted on by the local committees. And so before you today is a request to add a new project to the TIP entitled Purchase of Replacement Buses. There is a project in the TIP currently, but it's specific to electric buses. So this one is more general, just for buses in general. And the funding that you see added here is actually flex funding that came from previous MPO years, where the annual allocation to the MPO wasn't able to be used by the end of the year, and so these amounts, in fiscal year 22 is $69,000, in 23 $3 million, and 24 $168,000. Those amounts were flexed to Bloomington Transit, and unlike the MPO, the Transit's able to kind of bank that money and use it when they wish. However, they are, I believe, a bit worried. The Federal Transit Administration is advising everyone to use their funds that they have stored up prior to the expiration of the IIJA in September of this year. And so this is a request for your approval to add a project called Purchase Replacement Buses to the TIP so that Bloomington Transit can use the funds that were flexed to them in previous 3 years. And so we're just asking for your recommendation for approval.
I guess if there's any comments, doesn't look like it. So I guess we'll seek a motion to approve new business BMC MPO FY 2026-2030 TIP amendments resolution FY 2026-05 Bloomington Transit purchase new buses. All in favor say aye.
Do we need a motion?
Oh, sorry. I said there's going to be hiccups. Do we have a motion to approve this?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thanks, Neil and Nate. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any abstentions?
Abstain?
Abstain.
All opposed, say nay. Seems like we have it.
Thank you. John, you can go to public comment now.
Sure, yeah. So now we're at the moment for public comment on matters not included on the agenda. These will be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. So if anybody has any public comments they'd like to make, now's your time. Not seeing anybody.
I have a public comment. This is as my role as a citizen, not as a City of Bloomington staff member. I'm here as a university elementary school parent. There's been a lot of discussion about potentially adding a crosswalk for that school. It's between, the school is in the city, the church parking lot is in the county, and I just wanted to bring it up to this group. If anyone is interested in working on this project, I am organizing parents to get together, and I'd love to, just wanted to bring that discussion up. Thanks.
Awesome, yeah, thanks, Megan. Any other public comments? I guess we move on to the next part, is that correct?
Go for it.
So communications from committee members on matters not included on the agenda. If anybody has anything they want to bring up.
I do have one thing here. Oh, actually, sorry, those are for a different committee. I'm okay.
Cool, or topics for future agendas, I guess, as well, but seems like none. So we'll move on to our upcoming meetings. We have a policy committee meeting on Friday, February 27th. That's at 10:30. It's a hybrid meeting. The next technical advisory committee will be Wednesday, March 25th at 10. I'm assuming these are going to be back in this room kind of for the near future. And then we also have the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting that same day, March 25th at 5:30 p.m. And I believe with that, do we need a motion to adjourn, or do we just adjourn?
You can just adjourn.
Okay, well, yeah, thanks for everybody being here today. Thanks for sticking with me as we kind of had some little roadblocks along the way. But yeah, we'll adjourn until next meeting, so thank you.
Thank you.